Not feeling like you're enough has got to be the most debilitating belief, and yet at the same time, in my experience, has been the most empowering when you know how to transform it. And what I mean is that you can turn prioritizing others into prioritizing yourself. You can go from self doubt and self judgment to self confidence. You can turn hiding, shrinking, shape shifting, performing for love and approval, feeling all that lack in yourself and in your life into loving your authentic self so much that even when your life is full of all the amazing things and people that your energy will inevitably attract in this state, you don't actually need any of it to feel whole. So the question is, how do you go about transforming external validation? Well, for me, I would have to say that I like to use the principle of opposites. So the opposite of external validation is internal validation or self-validation. And for me, this path of learning to self-validate has really unfolded in 3 steps, and I'm going to share with you what those were so that you can take what resonates for your own personal journey back to wholeness. So the first step for me was to really start to separate the external from the internal. And what that looks like practically is really just getting clear on what kinds of ideas, standards, expectations have been implanted into my mind, into my belief system and my body, and became just a part of my daily life. This process can be so insidious, so subtle that we don't, especially those of us who are more energetically sensitive, we can take in so much information all of the time and not even realize that it's not ours. So many of us say that we want to be able to release what's not ours, but in order for us to be able to do that, we actually have to know what is ours and what's not. And starting with what's not yours, this isn't something that you can necessarily do all in one sitting. It more so happens just as a natural process over time. So just trusting that what's in front of you right now is what's ready and wanting to be transformed. Like, say you have a conversation with someone that causes you to feel anxiety or causes you to question yourself or like ask yourself like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that, or I should have said that in a different way, putting a lot of emphasis on what their response might be. What they say and what their emotional response is to what you say is theirs. And what you say, what your emotional response is yours. And then you can take it a level deeper within what you're experiencing. You might be having that self-judgment, that self-criticism, the self-doubt. We can ask ourselves again, what is ours and what's not ours? So we can kind of work with it in layers, moving from more external to more internal. Like every time we ask, where did this belief come from that I shouldn't have said that? Or the feeling of, what are they going to think of me? Where is that coming from? And you can see quickly how this can become this deeper and deeper process just by asking the one question, like, where is this coming from? Before you get lost in that first question, we still have 2 more steps. So the second step, once you get to this level of recognizing that, okay, there's that's outside of me, and then there's that which is inside of me, you can then take some steps to refocus on you. And how I do that is I do that by identifying my own needs and finding ways to meet them for myself before I go looking outside of myself for that. That's why like getting to know your own needs is so important, because it gets to the root of why we're looking outside ourselves for validation in the first place. The exact type of validation that we're wanting from other people is the exact type of validation that we are looking for within ourselves. So when you can identify like, what is it exactly that I am needing, whether that's on the emotional level, for example, like feeling seen, feeling heard, feeling supported, feeling held, feeling understood, those are some of our core emotional needs. When we can identify which ones of those needs we are trying to seek in the other, we can give that then instead to ourselves. Because when you know what you need, then it becomes a choice, right? That you can either go look for it outside of yourself or you can look for it inside of yourself first. So, there's that saying that everything that you need comes from within you. And when I first started out, I didn't understand what that meant, because I was like, money comes from outside of me And food comes from outside of me. Like, I don't grow food on the inside of myself. And love, how can I like love myself the way that somebody in a relationship loves me? Because how are those even the same thing? So, in the very beginning stages, I had no idea what that meant. But as I've gotten deeper and deeper in the process, what I'm understanding now is that on a fundamental level within ourselves, we can create the sense of wholeness within ourselves because all of our needs have this matching piece that goes with it perfectly, like a yin and a yang. So when we can meet the need from within ourselves, we experience the feeling, the energy of wholeness. And that attracts from our external environment the experience of the need itself in the physical form. And while we do have also a need to be in connection with other people and not to just do life completely isolated and disconnected from others, it can go in that extreme of when we try to be totally self-sufficient. I'm not saying that. I used to be like that too. But now my understanding is that the universe delivers our tangible human needs through the vehicle of other people. And whether or not those tangible goods or things materialize for us and like we actually attract that into our life and receive it depends on our internal state of wholeness or lack. So I think that everything is a reflection from within, and that's why my personal path is focused so much on becoming whole within myself. And that's what self-validation is, right? It's being able to meet our own needs so that we don't go searching for it outside of ourselves, thinking that it's out there when it's actually in here. And once we can flip that order, we do then start to attract things from the outside to mirror back to us our internal state of completeness, wholeness, and abundance. And I also wanted to speak to one thing that commonly happens when people try to ask themselves what they need and get in touch with that because they know how important it is. A lot of people will draw blanks because not only are they not used to their own needs being paid so much attention to, but then they don't actually know what all of their needs even are. So for me, I've discovered 26 physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual needs that have helped me to heal and transform all manner of different manifestations of the belief of not enoughness, from chronic pain to people pleasing and perfectionism. And I created a course on it called Know Your Needs, and I'm going to link that in the description for anyone who wants to stop guessing and to have all of their inner needs laid out in front of them like a menu to choose from and have it be easy. All right, so then step number 3 is to learn to support yourself. So once you can tell internal from external, once you can identify your needs, the next step is to learn to start to meet them for yourself. And supporting yourself is a lot easier when you know the exact needs behind the behavior or the feeling or sensation that you're experiencing. I feel like people get confused because it feels like there can be so much information to sort through when we're like inside of our inner world. So what's made it easier for myself and a lot of others is taking it from a parts work perspective. So understanding that there are many different parts of us inside of ourselves who also have their own needs. So it helps compartmentalize a little bit and like organize that a certain part of you has certain needs. And when they're acting out of their unmet needs, there are some direct behaviors that you would experience. There's some direct feelings that you would feel. There's direct sensations in your body that you would become aware of. So probably one of the most common unmet needs that manifests as external validation is the need to be seen. And this is a totally normal, natural need that allowed us as children who were dependent on our caregivers to receive the care we needed to survive, right? Needing to be seen could manifest in a more anxiously attached way where we try to get somebody's attention repeatedly and start to spiral when we don't get their response. It can be linked to the way we feel about our physical appearance. It can manifest in the more avoidant form as well, where we hide and we're actually uncomfortable with being seen because we're not used to getting that need met, even though it is actually something that we need for our normal, healthy development. Also, you can identify that through feelings, emotions, sensations that are happening in the body too. So there's this whole trail of cues and indicators that these parts of you are leaving behind. And are ultimately asking for you to pick up on, to support them, and to care for them. And this is a good thing because you can see all the different layers and the different expressions physically, emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually of the unmet needs. You have so many different opportunities to step in and learn to be there for yourself. That's ultimately what these parts are asking you to do. And that's ultimately what heals. Validation from the root is when you actually give yourself the validation that you're seeking outwardly. It does fundamentally change your experience of yourself, your relationship with yourself. You will notice all of these connected experiences, the behaviors, the feelings, the sensations change when your needs are met from within you, when you become whole or in this aspect of yourself. So, and of course, I think we all know that being able to identify our needs, meet our needs, and then eventually express them is especially important when it comes to relationships. It's relationships are the ultimate sort of learning ground, school for being able to put your inner work skills to the test. And when you start to practice taking care of your own needs and self-validating, you will know yourself so much better. You'll know your triggers, you know what situations, what train of thought, what feelings, sensations in the body to pick up on that are telling you that there's a need that wants to be met from within you first so that you can heal and feel whole. One final piece that I'd like to leave you with is just knowing that your worth was never up for negotiation. I know that our experiences may point to that conclusion, and what really helps in this area of understanding is having a spiritual perspective. I believe that we all come from one source, one creator, one God, and we were created as whole. And because we were created as whole, that is our blueprint, our template that we will always be moving towards, coming back to, realigning with, and expanding in our expression and experience of wholeness. If you believe in healing, wholeness is the reason why it's possible. Healing means that you have within you the tools, the power, the knowledge available in order to return to your original state, the original state being wholeness. So, on a very meta level, with this belief of not enoughness and our worthiness being on the table, none of that is actually up for negotiation because how can it be if your worth is, always has been, and will always be intact? It's whole. It is untouchable. If you can perceive that and feel that on a higher level that is outside of your, current daily present experiences of lack and the illusion of scarcity, then it's going to really speed up your healing and bring you so much more comfort, peace, and ease within yourself. So thanks for joining me for another video. I super appreciate this community that we're building, and I love sharing all this content with you. Let me know down below what you're currently working on, what needs that you're aware of, what you're identifying, and I will see you in the next video.